Hey everyone, before we get started with today's interview, I have a huge announcement to make. My book, The Super Six, is now in pre-launch. And I guess you're telling yourself, the guy who does indie comic interviews is an indie comic book artist himself. Yeah, go figure, right? Surprise! Anywho, I've been working on this project for close to 3 years now, and as far as production goes, everything is coming to a close. But I still have a lot of work to do in terms of getting the book colored, lettered, and working on a few other things that is still a surprise for you guys. But I'm opening up the door for my pre-launch schedule right now. And what that means is if you go to my website, tobeheroic.com, and sign up for my pre-launch, you will get this free exclusive HD wallpaper. This wallpaper will not be featured in the Indiegogo campaign that's going to be launching, okay? This is the only time you can get this wallpaper. You can use it on your phone, your tablet, computer. You can show it off to your friends, however you care to use it. My artist, Ronell Reyes, put this together for you guys so you guys can get exclusive content. Also, when you sign up for my newsletter, guys, I'm not going to be spamming you, but you will be getting access to early release dates on certain tiers and stretch goals. You will also get a first look at the trailer, first preview looks before the whole campaign even goes live. So you guys will be getting your hands on a lot of stuff before it even goes live. So that's a cool incentive for that right there. If you're not interested in my campaign, well, guess what? If you visit my website, I have books. Yes, I've written books. Surprise! You can actually go on Amazon.com and get a ebook edition of my first book, The Zentown Chronicles, The Gencia Star, for free. That's an entire book, a whole book for free. So if you're looking to kind of finish off your summer reading list with something a little bit different, hey, guess what? Go check out my books. They're all superhero fantasy novels with a touch of mysticism in it. And the best part is that my books also tie in into the story of the Super Six. So it's kind of like you guys getting caught up on my whole story timeline before the newest edition of that story comes out, all right? So again, go to tobeheroic.com, throw in your full name, your email address. Be sure to alert your spam folder, all right? Let it know that my emails are not spam. The moment you hit submit, you will get this HD wallpaper sent directly to your inbox, all right? So I'm really excited to finally be launching this. I've been working on it for a long time now, and it's coming to an end, but I hope you guys do like it. And if you don't like the idea of getting emails from me, well, guess what? Here's a little gift from you. Go get one of my books for free. The first book, of course, because if you like the first book, you'll go get the rest of them, right? Who said that? Anywho, if you don't like it, hey, no money out of your pocket, right? There you go. All right, without further ado, let's get to this interview, guys. Thank you so much. Hello, indie readers, and welcome back to another episode of Indie Choice Picks. Today, I got the awesome Eric Weathers coming in today to talk about his indie comic, Flying Fortress. And it is actually really great. It's about a group of World War II soldiers going in to bomb Hitler and all of a sudden getting thrown back into a medieval area, or medieval time, so to speak. So sit back and relax as I bring to you the creator of Flying Fortress, Eric Weathers. You guys enjoy. Eric, thank you, man, for coming on to the show. Your Indiegogo Flying Fortress seems like a pretty fun-filled adventure, man. So tell us a little bit about yourself, how you came up with the idea, how long you've been in the comic industry, and all that fun stuff.
Flying Fortress on Indiegogo is a story about a B-17 crew. They go on a secret mission to bomb Hitler, and they crash land in the Middle Ages. The story sort of came about as me and a couple of friends were sitting around just, hey, we should make a comic book. It was one of those, wouldn't it be cool if sort of scenarios. Mm-hmm. And it started out as like I wanted to do a zombie book that was set in World War II, and it sort of evolved from that. So it was, I think we had that meeting in like 2009, 2010. I call it a meeting. I mean, we were just hanging out. But yeah, I mean, we started it in 2011, started like working on the book officially. And over the next several years, sort of put out an issue, basically an issue a year, maybe a little faster than that, just sort of working on it in the background, doing it for convention. There was a local convention we went to, and we wanted the new issue every time. So it was always meant to be self-published, still is. But what we're doing with the Indiegogo right now is taking all of those 8 chapters, putting them in one book for the first time. We had done trades, volume 1 and volume 2, but I thought, why not go ahead and put it all together? Redo all the lettering, because that's what I do professionally now.
Okay.
Professional comic letterer. And that's where I cut my teeth. Learning how to letter was on that book, was on that series. And now I do it for a living. So I feel like I need to go back and fix that before I show it to the public again.
Yeah, I think that's a lot of us. Like, my
Yeah.
first comic book series was complete trash. Like, I mean, I brag about it because I finished it, because not a lot of people actually finish it.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm looking back at it and I'm like, man, this is trash. I'm probably going to go back and just redo every single page and letters and stuff like that. Maybe do a little revision on the story, and maybe do an Indiegogo or campaign later on. But I mean, a lot of people can't say that they like finish a comic, let alone go back and redo a comic like you doing with your Flying Fortress here. So
yeah, it was difficult
yeah,
to get through it. It was difficult to push through and actually finish it. But, you know, through sheer force of will, we made it happen.
yeah, right.
There were a few times where I was like, I'm done, and I'd step away for a little while. I'm like, I can't quit it. I got to finish this story. So,
you know what always gets me is like when I used to do that too. Like with my books, I'm like, I need to take a break. Like, give me like a few weeks, and then I would go pick up my monthly comic book box at the comic book store, and I would start reading. And I'm like, I kind of feel like I'm not doing anything, so I'll just jump right back into it. When I see people on Twitter just like showing their work and their pages and their progress, it just makes you feel like, well, what the fuck am I doing? I need to get back to work and make this happen, you know?
Yep. That's exactly what it was for me. It's seeing everybody else continue to put work out and thinking, you know,
exactly.
why am I not doing it? Why, you know, and that kicked me in the butt to do it. So
yeah, you gotta keep on going. Just finding ways to like make it to where you can motivate yourself, and you don't need any external forces to like force you to do it. You just know you have to do it. You just have to finish, you know?
Yep.
Are you the only one working on this, or you have a whole crew?
Well, the comic series originally was me and 2 friends. They're both named Andy, so they're known as the Andys. They, you know, we sort of were like, you know, okay, I'll draw it, you write it, you ink it. Well, I don't know how to color, but we'll figure that out. I don't know how to letter, but we'll figure that out. It was all basically like that. And then after issue 1, we went forward with just Andy Moore and I. We sort of took the reins and just did everything from there on out. We'd spend hours on Google Hangouts, you know, coming up with plot ideas like, what if this happened? Oh yeah, then they do this, this, and this, and you know, over the years, I toiled away on the artwork, and we co-wrote it together. Sometimes he'd pull a script and drop a script on me, and then I'd look at it and I'd say, okay, I like this, but what if we change that? And then vice versa. And that's one of the reasons why it took so long, and I got, for better or worse, burned out on it, was because I was doing every step.
Yeah.
You know, and going in, I wasn't expecting it. So I think in the back of my mind, there was always this thought that I wouldn't be doing as much as I was. Like, I was expecting to do the art, which was good, and I did. But also, I was, and I'm happy writing it. But there was just sort of this, like, it felt like there was a lot of, you know, when you're drawing a comic book, that's a bulk of the work, is to actually draw it, and then you got to color it and letter it, and it just continued to pile on. And that's part of the reasons why I would take breaks in between.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't focus on the one thing. In hindsight, it's been nice because I've learned how to do all of these things, you know, at least to some degree. Like I said, it paid off for lettering, at least, because that's now, you know, that's full time for me.
Yeah, I worked with my first comic book series. I had another guy who I worked with, and he would do the coloring. But in the beginning, I was doing the drafting. My version of inking, which looking at it now is garbage, but he colored it, and then I think halfway through, he quit. Like, he had to go back to school, and he was just doing too much, so he quit and left me with issues 6 through 10 or 11 in this case to finish. And I had to learn how to color. I had to learn how to letter. I had to learn how to do all that stuff while still outputting issues for my web series. So it's
Yeah.
a good thing to kind of learn that, because when it comes to the comic book industry, I mean, there's so many people who they know what you want to learn. Like if you want to know how to color, you can go on Twitter and find someone who's a great artist, and they'll give you like pointers, and you can always go on YouTube and figure that out and stuff
Yep.
like that. So I mean, it's always fun to kind of go that route and just be self-taught, because like you ended up being a letterer by trade, and now you can actually go out and get work on that on a professional level. So that's cool.
Yeah. And it's funny because I started out, I was like, I wanted to be a penciler. And, I still draw, and I'm going to be working on stuff in the future. I'm still an artist, but it's funny how things work out.
Yeah.
You don't expect it to kind of land where it did. So
yeah, for sure. So I'm going to go ahead and share your campaign. It ended on July 18th, right?
July 19th. It's still in demand though. So
okay, cool. So I didn't miss it. That's good. Good to know.
Yeah.
All right. So Flying Fortress B-17 crew. Let me know when you can see the screen.
I see it.
Cool. B-17 crew on a mission to bomb Hitler is shot down and crash lands in a medieval world. So tell us a little bit more about the story. How do you go from World War II to a medieval world?
So the crew, they are the best in their bomb group, and they get tasked along with a few others. They get tasked on this secret mission. They know Hitler's going to be at his bunker at this place and time, so we're going to go on a night mission. And typically, the United States back then did not do night bomb runs. All the bomb runs were done during the day.
Yeah.
So they get a new experimental bomber. They go on this mission, and they actually are successful. They drop the bombs, and Hitler is vaporized, if you will.
Okay.
But upon doing that, they stir up the hornet's nest, and the Germans fight back with a lot of heavy artillery, and then that ceases, and an experimental fighter, something they've never seen before. It is a real aircraft. We toy with the timeline a little. It wasn't really in combat at the time in which we have it, but that's all right. It's a comic book after all.
Mm-hmm.
That fighter ends up taking them down, and through some sort of mad science, I won't get into it too much, but through some sort of mad science, they crash land in what they think is Germany in 1943, but they actually end up in an alternate dimension that's stuck in the Middle Ages. So they have to figure out, one, how they got there, and how to get back home.
Okay.
And, fight something known as what they learn of as the Infinite Reich to get through them.
Okay.
To get back home.
You're kind of getting me into my whole conspiracy theory kind of mode here, because I was watching. Okay, yeah, I'm one of those dudes that, like, if I'm bored, I'll like turn on Ancient Aliens for like, right. And it was an episode where they were talking about how the Nazis were like experimenting with pseudoscience and stuff like that to try and become like the super world power.
Yeah.
And one of the things that Hitler, I guess, came up with, is still unclear if it exists, is the Nazi bell, which is basically a time machine. And I think before the Americans on D-Day, before the Allies like came into Germany and just liberated Germany, Hitler sent this thing to the future, and it like popped up like 25, 30 years later somewhere where people didn't know what it was. And then all this paperwork about Hitler's secret research and stuff like that started to come out, that he was experimenting and doing in like the occult and like pseudoscience and like interdimensional travel and all that stuff. So is that kind of where you got your idea for the concept in the story?
Not that theory in particular, but there was another theory that there was and this may be tied in, I don't know, but there was another theory that in, I think, 1933 or 1936, that there was a UFO crash in the Black Forest in Germany.
Yes, I remember that.
So that's where we pulled our influence for this secret. Yeah, it's like this underground, the Nazi mad scientist sort of thing. That's where we pulled that from, was that UFO crash. So it's the alien technology that's found there that sort of plays into the whole thing.
And I find that interesting too, because every time when someone is talking or writing something and Nazis are the bad guys, you always have that one person in the Nazi ranks who's like this super mad genius. Like Captain America had the
Yeah,
Red Skull and he was looking for the
yeah,
Tesseract to, make weapons, and he was just all about this, otherworldly technology to make the Nazis more of a superpower. And then you get something like this. And I think I interviewed someone before where they had Nazis as enemies too, and they had like a mad scientist running around just creating all these temporal distortions and teleporting everywhere and stuff like that. And I'm like, man, dude, Nazis were crazy.
yeah. In more ways than one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right. Just
yeah.
like on top of just trying to completely dominate the world, they were just into like everything else. And I'm like, man, you guys had a lot of time in your hands just to think about something. Hey, let's make a time machine. Okay, I
Yeah,
got
they
nothing
were
better to do.
trying to figure out anything they could to complete that goal.
Basically,
Yeah,
that's it. So, um, you completely just demolish your goal here.
yeah.
Kind of one of the things I like to do with people who have successful campaigns or just completely dominating is to kind of pick your brain on how you hit your goal. Because I know a lot of people who watch the show, they are into running their own campaign, and some of them
Mhm.
just don't know how to get started. So, what are some pointers you can give the audience as to how you just decimated your goal?
Well, luck has a lot to play with it,
Okay.
for sure. I feel I feel lucky to be a sort of where I am, having my name on so many books. People kind of already were familiar with me,
Mm-hmm.
um, so I was able to sort of play that card maybe a little bit. It's all about. Uh, I don't want to say it's all about name recognition because it's not, but that plays in a lot. How big of an audience do you have? How big of a platform can you get in front of? So for me, that was the biggest that was the biggest reason as to why I was able to have a goal of 4,000 and make 28. So and if I had only made 44,000, I would have lost money. So
Yeah.
you also play into the algorithm
Mm-hmm.
of Indiegogo itself, because if you can on day one smash your goal, which I did, thankfully I was able to launch it on a larger channel, and Doug Naples' channel. He was there to help me launch my campaign because I'm lettering Earthworm Jim.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, he was like, "Hey, come on, we'll get you funded day one," and I got it in like an hour. So then you
Wow.
get in that algorithm, right? You can get in on the front page trending in comics, and then people just sort of see it that are just browsing Indiegogo randomly,
Mm-hmm.
and then it just sort of kept going and going and going, and then I'd say with about 10 days left, um, and I was the whole time. uh, uh, Crowdfunding is a full-time job.
Yeah,
The
for
whole
sure.
time you're like, you got to get on people's YouTube channels, and you got to try and, I'm going to get an article on this website, and our Facebook ad's going to work. Let me spend $20 on a Facebook ad for a few
Mhm.
days and see if that pulls. You're always thinking. And I was in that, I was in that slump. There's like a mid-campaign slump because everything sort of just slows down.
Mhm.
And and then I was able to get on with a lot of other guys on Comic Artist Pro Secrets on Ethan Van Sciver's channel, and he has a huge audience.
Yeah, Ethan Van Scriver's that's the dude that was kind of heading up Comic Gates for a little while, and
Mhm.
it's just I don't know why people attack that dude. He's a really wholesome guy, man. He's a
Yeah, for
wholesome guy.
real. Yeah, he's great, and he brought me on, and me and a bunch of other guys, like a bunch of other books like Monster MD, Shinobi Sasquatch,
Mhm.
College of the Dead. There's another one, Iron Skies, and a lot of great books we were all on. I did a couple of shows there, and that just ramped everything back up again. Um, so that's why I say the audience that you can find yourself in front of is probably the biggest part. Because
Yeah.
when you're in that slump, you start you start feeling almost desperate. You're like, I gotta get people need to see it, because that's the thing is like every time I've pitched this comic to anybody, whether it's been at a convention or you meet somebody at a party somewhere, and they're like, "What do you do for a living?" I'm like, "Well, let me tell you." They hear the idea and they're like, "Wow, that's really cool." And it doesn't, it could just be them being nice,
Yeah.
um, but I feel like it's one of those stories that if you pitch it to somebody, um, they're interested. So you need to find the people, and I was fortunate enough to be able to do that.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Um, Going back to what you were saying, trying to get in front of the whole audience. Like for some, they think that, and this is me too, it's a catch-22 because I've heard people like saying before you go on a pre-launch or before you do anything regarding your comic book, make sure you have a good following. And then
Hmm.
there's people that are like, well, you don't need a good following, you just need a good story. So it's kind of like the whole chicken and the egg scenario, like which one would come first? And I think it all comes down to how well you actually do one or the other. Like you don't have to have a big
Yeah.
following, have a big comic book outcome on your campaign, but then you don't have to have um people who are just running around following you and doing everything you do to actually be successful. So it's kind of like being able to just promote yourself and do it well, in a sense.
Yeah, yeah, and that's true. But I still think that, just from my experience, because I'd done a campaign before, and it was a Flying Fortress campaign. It was back when we were doing the first trade of the first 4 issues,
Hmm.
in a trade paperback, and it made about $1,500.
Wow. Okay.
So, and that was like 2012, and
Hmm.
I had no audience, and now I have it's small, but it's way more than I had back then, and
Yeah.
I believe it is important because if you can get those people that will stick with you, then you can, make a living, and not just on campaigns, but just make a living. Like, they're always going to buy that book. They're always going to want to get a commission. They're always going to want to hire you for their books. Just try and keep those people. Try not to drive anybody away.
Yeah, exactly. And I always say this, like you're following, because I see people on Twitter that have like a 6-digit, or not even six, like a 5-digit number of followers
Hmm.
on their profile, and whenever they tweet, they get like 1 or 2 likes, and I'm like, that's not
Yeah,
a following. A following is when you can tweet something and get actual engagement, like retweets,
exactly.
likes, you get people actually commenting on your stuff. Those are the kind of the people that you want to engage with because they're seeing you, they're engaging with you in a positive way, of course.
Yeah,
And these guys are like they're your audience, so it's the idea to kind of build on that notion. Whenever you get like that one person who retweets, if you're first starting out, engage with that person, kind of get a little
hmm.
feeling of like how they are, if they like what you're doing, stuff like that, not in a creepy way, but you know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah,
Don't
I
like
know what
being
you're saying.
like, hey, what did you like
Yeah,
about the tweet? Because
yeah,
that you could lose that person real
it's a
fast.
little overreach.
Yeah, just a bit. So all right, man, well, kind of running at the end of our segment here. I really appreciate you coming on the show, my man. So, where can people? You said your comic is in demand now. Can they go to Indiegogo and pick it up?
Yeah, Indiegogo. Just search Flying Fortress or Flying Fortress Remastered or Eric Weathers, and you'll find it on there. It'll be in demand for another month or
Okay.
two, but it's just because the book's done. I'm going through and, working with an editor to sort of fix some dialogue things that may have been rough the
Okay.
first go around, and making some minor art changes as well, little fixes, and correcting some stuff that was too obviously wrong. Um, but yeah, I mean, the artwork is, like I said, we drew it from 2011 to 2017. So there's a big, um, progression. There's a big, difference between page 1 and page 200.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, search that on Indiegogo, and I've got a YouTube channel as well. It's just Eric Weathers on YouTube, and Twitter is at Eric_Weathers.
Great. I will put all that in the description. And everybody who's watching, if you guys want to go and pick up Flying Fortress, you just run over to the links in the description below. Support Eric and follow him on Twitter, guys. I mean, he seems like a really wholesome dude, my man.
Well, thank you.
All right, Eric. Thank you for coming on the show, dude. I will see you on Twitter, man.
All right, man. Have a
Have
good
a good
one.
day. And that's all the time we have for today. Guys, if you're new to the channel, I welcome you. Just hit that subscribe button. Kind of helps the videos and indie creators kind of get their spotlight and kind of keep the channel going, all right? Also like and also share this video. We're just trying to get more people out there to get their hands on indie comics, all right? It's a really great opportunity to be able to get your work out to people like yourself, all right? So if you're an indie creator and you want to come on the show, all you got to do is find me on Twitter. My handle is @heroic_studios, or you can search me, Will, at Heroic Studios. All right, so that's all the time we have for today. I will be sure to see you guys in actually 2 more days with a new interview. I kind of did 2 interviews this week, kind of overwhelming myself, but I do it for you guys. So enjoy the next interview. It's going to be up in a couple days. All right, guys, enjoy.